Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is just about sort of setting up a group project and sort of the steps you should take. So right now I'm going to assume the role of tech lead. So I'm the tech lead who's going to get the project set up. So locally on my computer, I'm going to set up a folder for the project. So I'm going to make a folder. So here in terminal, I want to make a folder for the project. So project, I want to cd into that folder. I want to make sure that this folder is not a repo, so I'm going to type git status to make sure that it's not a Git repo. Okay, fatal, not a Git repository, so that's good. Because here I'm going to have a folder for each actual application that's part of my project. Okay, and sometimes you may have several applications. Usually it's at least two: a back-end application for a web server, and then a front-end application for your actual visual website in the browser. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the two folders. So make dir. Actually, I'm just going to make dir backend for now. You'll see why. Okay, and I'm going to cd into backend, and this will be a repo. Okay, so in that case, I will initialize a repo here. So git init initializes a Git repo, so we can keep track of the code. So what happens here is that if I were to make a file, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some basic text, the word hello, echo hello into the index.txt file. Okay, so what this is going to do is copy the text hello into index.txt. So now if I list my files, ls, I see there's an index.txt. Okay, I do a git status. I see that index.txt is tracked, but I haven't added it to staging. So basically with GitHub, there's your working space, which is when it's red. Then when I feel like it's time to, start getting ready to, I'm done with that file, I'll add it to staging. So I'll be like add or git add index.txt. So now when I do git status, that file is added to staging. So these are files that will potentially be committed. Okay. And then I want to make a snapshot. Okay. Because the cool thing about having a snapshot of my project is that I can always go back to a snapshot. It's like having a lot of different save points I can go back to. So to do that, I do a git commit -m. And then I put a little message saying, okay, first commit or whatever I want to say. Okay, cool. So see, a commit has been made to the master branch, which is the default branch. Okay, and this is as a description. Now, if I want to see all the commits I've made so far, I can always just type in git log. And see, I can see the details of that commit. So see, it was me who made the commit. It was on this date. There's the commit hash. And if I ever need to go back to a particular hash, I would just copy the hash, then type git reset. Okay, and then the hash. Or I could just type in git reset by itself, and it'll just go back one commit. It'll just undo the most recent commit. Okay. And again, you want to have all these snapshots, so you want to do these commits very often. You do a little bit of code, you commit. You do a little bit of code, you commit. So that way it's always easy for you to go back if you need to. Okay? But what's going to happen here is I'll set up my code here. Okay? And then I'm going to go push that up to GitHub. Okay? So let me go to GitHub and set up practice repo, or say practice prac git repo. And now I have this GitHub repo. And I'm going to connect this to my local repo. So I'm going to copy this URL here. I'm going to copy the SSH one. And if you don't know how to set up SSH, head over to intro.alexmercedcoder.com. And I do have a video on how to set up SSH. Makes it nice where you don't have to be putting in your password all the time. So I'm going to type in git remote add. I'm going to call it origin. You can call it whatever you want. Git remote add origin, and then paste the URL. This creates a git remote. Okay, origin remote already exists. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. I'm in VS Code. I need to be in here. Git remote add origin. Okay, and then I can type in git remote -v, and this will list my origins and the URL they're connected to. So that way I know which origin pushes and pulls code to what place. You can have as many origins or many remotes as you want. So I can push my code to GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, however you want to do it. Nice. Okay, so now I can push git push origin, and I'm pushing up the master branch. Okay, so now when I go over here, I see that we have a master branch. Okay, now generally, again, I want to have two branches. I want to have my master and I want to have my dev branch. So to create a new branch, oh, back in the wrong window. Okay, to make a new branch, I'm going to type in git checkout, which means switch branches. And I'm going to include the -b flag, which means a new branch. So git checkout b dev. So I'm creating the dev branch. Whenever you create a branch, it creates a branch as a copy of the branch you're on. So it's going to copy master and make it a separate branch. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the easiest way to think about it. So now I'm on the dev branch. And I want to push that up to GitHub. So I'm going to say git push origin dev. And there we go. Okay, so that's been pushed up to GitHub. And now if I refresh GitHub, I now have two branches. So I can see the code on both branches. They're now like two forks in the road. Any code committed to dev isn't automatically in master. So then what would happen is that if I'm one of the team members, okay, so I would go this. So if I'm the tech lead, I'm going to go to settings, head over to manage access, and then add all my team members to the team. So I add all my team members over here. So see, you haven't invited any collaborators yet. Okay. But once they're added, so if I'm that team member, I'm going to go back over here, copy the code to clone. Not that one. I'm going to CD back up a folder, and then I would clone the project. So I would do git clone. Okay. And then I would, after the URL, you can put a name of a folder. So if it's the front end project, you'd call the folder front end. If it's the back end project, you'd call it back end. Since I'm going to pretend it's the front end, even though it's the same repo. So git clone that URL front end, just so it looks like there's two projects there. But now, since I just cloned it, it only clones the master branch. So if I go into front end, so cd front end, and I do a git branch, see there's only a master branch right now, but the Git repo has two branches, master and dev. So why is it only master? Because you only clone the master branch. If I want any of the other branches that exist on the remote, I have to do a couple extra steps. I first have to do what's called a Git Fetch, which fetches all the online branches. So that fetched all the branches. And now I want to create a new branch. But the problem is, if I normally create a new branch, it's just going to make a copy of the branch I'm on. I don't want to create a copy of master. I want dev as it is online. So what I do is I do git checkout -b, and then I want to say dev, but then I want to make sure I track. Okay, and since I did the git fetch, I want to specify what origin I'm looking to make a clone of. So it's the origin remote, and I want to make a clone of their dev branch, so origin dev. So it's like git checkout. This dev branch should be a copy of the origins dev, not a copy of master, but a copy of the origins dev branch. So I hit enter, and see it says branch dev, set up the track remote branch dev from origin, and now I have a dev branch locally. So check, so I do git branch, and see I'm on dev, and now I can create my branch for my ticket. So I do git checkout -b, and then we'll say, hey, I'm creating an auth feature, so feature auth. So generally the convention is always to start off with the word feature, because you're adding a feature to the application, /authentication. Then, if it's like a bug fix, it would be fix / then what the bug fix is. So this way people know, are you fixing something? Are you adding something? Okay, so I do that. So now I switch to that branch, and if I go git branch, see now I see I have that branch, feature auth. Okay, where'd it go? Feature auth. Okay, and then let's say I push that up to GitHub, git push origin feature. So yeah, I put the name of the branch, so feature auth. So git push origin feature off. That pushes up the branch. Now when I go here, I see there's 3 branches. So if I was done with my branch, I'm done doing all my work, I'd go over to pull request, say I want to make a new pull request, and I'm going to say, hey, I would like to merge the feature auth branch into the dev branch. Okay. Now right now there isn't anything to compare, so let me make some changes. So let's just do this. Echo cheese into an index2.txt. Okay. So now I do a git add, git commit, git push origin feature auth. Cool. So if I go back to code, now there is a difference. If I go to dev, see there's only the index.txt, but if I go to feature auth, there's 2 files, because again, I committed that when I was in the feature branch. So that feature branch is different, and I'm saying, hey, I'm done doing my work on this branch, so I would like to go merge my work back into everybody else's work. So I'll go to pull request and say, hey, I want to make a merge from feature auth into dev. Okay. So then I would create a pull request. I would put any comments I want to put here about the request, and then say create pull request. Okay, now there's this thing here, and then the idea, anyone on the team can technically hit this button, but really it should be the tech lead who comes in, takes a look, so they just kind of explore to see how everything looks and what the changes are. So I can go here and say, okay, these are the commits that are being merged. These are the changes that have occurred in those files. Just take a quick look, make sure there's nothing like that raises alarms. And then we would go back. And then I would merge the pull request. Okay, everything looks good. I merge the pull request. And then what I would do is I would go back. So if I'm the tech lead, okay, I'm going to go CD back into the other folder. So CD up, CD back in the back end. Okay, so all these changes that have occurred on GitHub, I want to pull those changes. So first I want to make sure I'm in the right branch. So git branch, good, I'm in dev. So I would do a git pull origin dev to pull the updates from dev. Cool. I would then test them out, make sure that everything is good, make any changes I need to make, push them back up to dev. And once I think dev is all ready to go, I would go back to pull request, make another pull request, but this time I'm merging dev into master. This is where I'm actually pushing the changes to where everybody can see. And we create a pull request, you go through the same process. Pull request gets merged, and now master has all the changes. Okay, and this is essentially the process. So you'd follow the Scrum board. Okay, again, so the teams, they're going to clone the project, set up their master and dev branches, clone off, branch off dev, do their tickets, make a pull request back to dev. And actually, it's even better practice to always do your branches off master and then merge into dev. So because master's code that you know is going to be in the base. If you merge off dev, you might have like not final code in there, so you always want to start with master, and then everything gets reconciled when you pull it into dev. Okay, and then when the tech lead feels it's right, they'll merge dev into master, or they'll merge the individual branches with their finished code back into master. But either way, they'll reconcile everything. But that's going to be the general workflow. Okay, so my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Hopefully you guys found this interesting. I also recommend checking out the GitHub Learning Lab. Just go to lab.github.com. This is a great place to get more familiar with GitHub. So you just go in here, and there's all these different lessons that GitHub has set up to learn GitHub features and how to better use GitHub. They're actually kind of fun, and yeah, they'll make you better at collaborating. So have a great day and enjoy.